first bookshelf, on the top shelf, I have most of my childhood books, and I also have some trinkets from my grandparents. So, childhood books, we have The Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle, Contrary Mary by Anita Duran, Each Peach Pear Plum by Janet and Alan Alberg. And then I have my collection of Roald Dahl books. So we have The Adventures of Charlie and Mr. Willy Wonka, which is a bind-up of both Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. So just to say, I do have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Glass Elevator, Matilda, The Twits, James and the Giant Peach, Going Solo, The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me, George's Marvellous Medicine, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Easy O Trot, The Enormous Crocodile, and Boy, Tales of Childhood. All of these books were all written by Roald Dahl. Next, I also have some Poetry Rival and mini saga books. These are from competitions that I personally entered when I was younger. So I have the mini sagas, Creative Capers, Poetry Rivals Collection 2011, and Poetry Rivals Collection 2012. Behind those I have a collection of signed books that again I got when I was younger. So Aggie Litchin Pilt Collector, Aggie Litchin Pilt Collector Artie's Revenge, all by Deborah J. Edwards. And then I have Spy Girl, Dead Men Talking, and Once Upon a Crime by Carol Hedges, both by Carol Hedges. These books are the third and fourth books of the series. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the first two because I remember that they were bought out. So here I just have some mementos from my grandparents. And yeah, that is my first shelf. So the second shelf contains some of the books by Sarah J. Maas. She's one of my favourite authors, hence why she has a shelf dedicated just to herself. So the first book I have is The Assassin's Blade, which is the Throne of Glass novellas. Then I have Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, and Queen of Shadows. So that's her Throne of Glass series. Then I also have A Course of Thorns and Roses, which you can see I've begun, but I haven't really got to it because I'm planning on doing a full Sarah J. Maas reread and read of all her books in August in preparation for Empire of Storms, which is the fifth book to the Throne of Glass series. And finally we have A Court of Mist and Fury, the second book after A Court of Thorns and Roses, and yeah, and this one is signed as well. Okay. And that's my second shelf. So, onto the third shelf. This is my Rochelle Mead shelf, filled with her Vampire Academy series, both the actual books and the graphic novels so far, but I think that they're ending the graphic novel series because it wasn't popular enough. And then her, the first three books of her Bloodline series. I haven't read the Bloodline series yet, but I hope to get to it soon. So the first book of the Vampire Academy series is obviously Vampire Academy, Frostbite, Shadow Kissed, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound, and Last Sacrifice. Now, the reason why the cover is different for Last Sacrifice is because I couldn't get this cover when I bought it, so it doesn't match. But yeah, that edition cover came out like when Last Sacrifice came out, but I think it was a limited edition thing because I haven't really seen it much since. So the graphic novels are Vampire Academy, Frostbite, if it stands up, and Shadowkissed. The next books are the Bloodline series, so Bloodlines, Golden Lily, and the Indigo. Okay, the Indigo spell. So yeah, that is my third shelf. Okay, so my next shelf is all my Scoldry Pleasant books. The Scoldry Pleasant series was written by Derek Lanley, and they consist of the first book, Scoldry Pleasant, Playing with Fire, The Faceless Ones, Dark Days, Mortal Coil, Deathbringer, Kingdom of the Wicked, Tanaflo in the Maleficent 7. This is a 0.5, so I think it's book 7.5 of the series, and it just contains the story about Tanaflo, who's a minor character in the series. So back onto the series is Last Stand of the Dead Men, and The Dying of the Light, which is the last book of the main series, and then there is Armageddon Outer here, which is a series of novellas. So yeah, and that is my full shelf. This is the last shelf containing books of this bookshelf, and it just has some of my other favourite books which aren't very large series. So first one is the Hunger Game trilogy, consisting of The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay, all by Suzanne Collins. Next is Dark Visions by L.J. Smith. This is a bind-up, I believe, of 3 books in one. Next is The Forbidden Game, which I'm currently reading for the Tome Topple Readathon as I'm filming this. Again, it's a bind-up of 3 books in one. Then there's The Night World, Volume 1, The Night World Volume 2, and The Night World Volume 3. All, again, by L.J. Smith. The next book is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon, which I already have a review for up on my channel, so I'll post a link down below. And finally, the manga Dawn of the Arcana by Ray Toa. So yeah, that was that shelf, and just to show, on the bottom shelf I just have some notebooks and things which didn't fit anywhere else, and a cereal bar at the end, which I think you can see. Okay, so that was my first bookshelf. So this is the top of my second bookshelf. It's my Harry Potter dedicated shelf, as you can see. So over here I have all the Harry Potter books that I got as I got them. Next to them I have the 3 bind-up books, the 3 extra books of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Quidditch Through the Ages, and Tales of Beedle the Bard. Here I have the Harry Potter colouring books, the Harry Potter colouring book itself and the Magical Creatures one. I have a plush toy of Hedwig, along with a pillow with that symbol on it. Which symbol's escaping me? The brothers, the Hollows, yeah, the Hollows. So I have a Hermione Granger Funko Pop and a Severus Snape Funko Pop, and the Severus Snape Funko Pop is standing in front of my Harry Potter DVDs. So yeah, this is the Harry Potter dedication shelf. Okay, so the first actual shelf of my second bookshelf contains largely retellings from overlooked here and a few extra bind-ups which didn't have any space on my other bookshelf, so I just put them there. I also have 2 mugs full of Sharpies, either side because I like to use Sharpies for like my work and when I'm planning things. So, to get on with the retellings. I have Outlaw, The Legend of Robin Hood, a graphic novel by Tony Lee, Sam Hart and Arthur Fujita. It's a graphic novel, I believe, which I haven't yet got around to reading. The next book I have is Maid Marian, a novel by Elsa Watson. I have the Forest Wife trilogy by Teresa Tomlinson. And Hawksmaid by Catherine Lasky. So if you couldn't tell, all of those were Robin Hood retellings. But of course you couldn't have a retelling shelf without obviously having the Lunar novels. So we have Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Winter, Fairest and Stars Above, and I'm not going to show the colours because I'm sure you know what they look like. And they're really difficult to get out, so yeah. I have Flint and Silver, which is a prequel story by John Drake about the classic Treasure Island. I have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adier, which I haven't read yet, but it's been highly recommended. The next book I have is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And then I have this retelling series by Jackson Pierce, which begins with Sisters Red, Sweetly, Fathomless, and Cold Spell. The name of the series is escaping me, but I know it's a retelling series. Next I have Ash, which is a retelling of Cinderella with fairies, I believe. I have The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine, which is obviously Snow White. And finally I have Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, I believe, but I may be wrong. So yeah, those were the story retellings which I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with. Next I have classic retellings, starting with Dawn of the Dreadfuls by Steve Hawkins Smith. Again, I'm sorry if I butchered any authors' names. Next, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Jane Austen and Seth Grammy Smith. And finally, Sense and Sensibility and Monsters by Jane Austen and Ben H. Winters. These are the Vampire Classics, for anybody who's interested. And now for the bind-ups, I have Kissed by an Angel by Elizabeth Chandler, which is 3 books binded up into one. And I have Toll the Hounds by Stephen Erickson, which I believe is also 3 in 1, and it is a very big book of like nearly 900 pages, I believe. So yeah, that was my top shelf. Okay, so this is the second shelf of my second bookshelf. Well, that was a slight tongue twister. And on it, decoration, I just have a vase which I got from my holiday to Egypt, a mug which I thought was very relevant considering the series I have on the shelf, and I just have a papyrus piece of my birth sign, which is Leo, and a stamp which I plan to stamp my books at a later point. I'll talk about that in a later video probably. So first things first, I have this series by Christopher Peloni, forgive me if I pronounce that wrong, which are Eragon, Eldest, Brisinga, and I believe there is another book but I haven't yet got it. Next I have the Hush Hush series by Becca Fitzpatrick, beginning with Hush Hush, Crescendo, Silence and Finale. And then obviously I have the Twilight saga, beginning with Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn, and the extra book, which is The Short Life of Britannia, all by Stephanie Meyer, or Mayer, depending on how you pronounce her name. And then I have the Chemical Garden trilogy, first 2 books, which are River and Fever, both by Lauren Di Stefano, I believe is how you pronounce her name again. Sorry if I butchered the name. And yeah, that's basically what is on my second shelf. I have no real organisation to this shelf. These are just books which are mainly comprised of hardback, so that's why I just put them on. Okay, so this is the third bookshelf. Third shelf of my second bookshelf, and it contains mainly black spine books. So yeah, it has this mug, which are just a bunch of bookmarks which I own, which I thought would just look nice to just sit on my bookshelf. So I'm not going to take this out, but I do have the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children box set with the images. I also have this toy of a vampire bat, which I got from Chessington World of Adventures here in the UK. So yeah, now on to the other books. I got Bloodlust and Initiation, Ritual and Legacy, and High Stakes and Hunted, which are all of them are bind-ups of books which are part of the Vampire Beach novels by Alex Jewell. Next I have these books by Alexandra Harvey, and I'm not sure what the series name is, but they are My Love Lies Bleeding, Blood Feud and Bleeding Hearts, all by Alexandra Harvey. Okay, next, a recent purchase which I got for Christmas are the Mortal Instruments books, which are City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. All 6 books to the Mortal Instruments series. And next I have what is of the Need series by Carrie Jones, which is Need, Captivate and Entice. I believe these are all shapeshifter stories, but I can't really remember because I haven't read them in a few years. Next are Dark Hearts Forever, Dark Hearts Rising and Dark Hearts Surrender, all by Lee Monroe. Next I have Angel and Angel Fire, both by L.A. Waverley. I'm not sure if this is a series at the moment, but these are the first 2 books. And next I have Halo and Hades by Alexandra Ardonetto. And yeah, this is the 3rd shelf of my 2nd book. Okay, so next shelf is pretty much some series and trilogies that I have left. So, beginning with the Wicked Lovely series, which includes Wicked Lovely, Ink Exchange, Fragile Eternity, and Radiant Shadows, all by Melissa Marr. I believe these are about fairies, but I may be wrong, and I may be wrong about the order as well, because I've seen different ways of like doing the order for these books. Next I have the Divergent series, which obviously includes Divergent, Insurgent, Allegiant, and 4, a Divergent collection. All of these obviously by the lovely Veronica Roth. Next I have the beginnings of the Poison Study series by Maria V. Schneider, which include Poison Study, Magic Study, and Fire Study. It's a series that I hope to get to this summer, but we'll see how it goes. The next books I have are what I believe is called the duology. I think it's a duology. I don't think it's going to be a series, but I'm not sure. Both by Amy Ewing. Again, I apologise with the names. And then I have the Raven Boys Quartet, which obviously include the Raven Boys, the Dream Thieves, Blue Lily Lily Blue, and the Raven King, all by Maggie Stiefvater. Oh, whoops. Wow, all the books are falling today. So, then I have the first 2 books of what I believe is going to be a trilogy, A Dark Shade of Magic and Gathering of Shadows, both by V.E. Schwab. Next I have what is the beginnings of the Howl Moving Castle trilogy, I believe it is, which is Howl Moving Castle and Castle in the Air by Diana Wynne-Jones. I'm going to change the cover for Castle in the Air, because I'm not a very big fan of it. Then I have the main trilogy for the Maze Runner series, which is Maze Runner, The Scorched Trials, and The Death Cure, all by James Dashner. Not a fan about how bright the spines are, but the covers are alright. I like their simplicity. Then I have the first two books to the Wings series, I believe it is, which are Wings and Spells, both by Applin Pike. Again, for the name, I really apologise if it was wrong. And then finally I just have the graphic novel Nimona on the shelf by Noelle Stevenson. So yeah, that is what I have on my fourth shelf. So we're on the fifth shelf, I believe, and I call this my series testing shelf. These are books which I haven't bought in bulk to buy the whole series, because I thought I would just try the books out. So, the first book I have is Flawed by Cecilia Ahern. I got this in the Owl Crate box for April, I believe. Next book I have is Touch of Power by Maria V. Schneider. Now it takes ages to stack in these books, so I think I'm just going to tell you what's in each stack. So the first book is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, then Queen of Tilling by Erica Johansson, Sabriel by Garth Nix, Demon Road by Derek Lanley, Starcross by Josephine Angeli, Fire and Flood by Victoria Scott, Legend by Marie Lu, Windsinger by William Nicholson, Wolf by Ryan Groudon, Pierce Brown's Red Rising, and Infinite Days by Rebecca Maziel. Then on the middle pile I have Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carragher, Shadow and Bone by Lee Bardugo, The Winner's Curse by Marie Lukowski, Jacoby by, I don't know the author's first name, but obviously the second and last name is Ritter, Rebel of the Sands by Alvin Hamilton, Passenger by Alexandra Bracken, The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury, Graceling by Kirsten Casher, Insatiable by Meg Cabot, Inkheart by Cornelia Funk, and Fury by Elizabeth Miles. Then on to the third pile I have Succubus Blues by Rochelle Mead, Prom Nights from Hell by a range of authors including Meg Cabot and Stephanie Meyer, The Awakened by Sarah Elizabeth Santana, Matched by Ali Condi, My Soul to Take by Rachel Vincent, Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wine, Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendra Blake, Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rash, I believe her name is, Imogen, Rotson's Instruments of Darkness, Paranormalcy, I think the author's first name is Sophie, but I may be wrong, White, and The Iron Witch by Karen Mahoney. Then here I have Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, and I have the Star Touch Queens by Roshani Tchaikovsky, or Chosky. Okay, I'm probably saying this all wrong, but yeah, that is a book I ordered for myself. And yeah, those are all the books on my Taster series shelf. So yeah, this is my bottom shelf, and it's filled with classics mainly, and some history books which I couldn't get into my history book shelf, or should I say shelves. So yeah, over here I have my leather-bound editions. I believe these are Barnes & Noble leather-bound editions. I have Grimm's Fairy Tales, which is this cover, Hans Christian Andersen's classic fairy tales. The Snow Queen, and other Winter Tales, which is one of my favourite covers, and Jane Austen's 7 novels. Then over here I have a pile of classics, including Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Persuasion and Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen again, and these are the Colin Classic editions. Then I have some Puffin Classic editions, including Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, and Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Then over there I have a collection of Sarah Kane's plays, which I had to study for A-level. These are not a classic, but they were plays I really enjoyed and they didn't really fit anywhere else, so I just put them there. Going back to actual classics, we have the Iliad by Homer, the Odyssey by Homer, and the Aeneid by Virgil. So, over to the side I have Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, and Samuel Richardson's Pamela. Then over to this area I just have some plays I had to study in school, really, including King Lear by Shakespeare, The Wife of Bath, Volpone by Ben Jonson, and In Spectacles and Other Plays by J.B. Priestley. And the book with the blue spine is Well-Read Women, which is just quotes from female authors, female classic authors, so yeah. Then over to the side, as I said, I have the history books, an elementary Latin dictionary, and a travel lodge, which is this thing I plan to take if I go travelling after my degree, so yeah. So on to my third and final bookshelves. I just have a collection of Doctor Who items, such as the DVDs, some figurines, the Doctor Who Time Lord Fairy Tales book, and the Doctor Who Character Encyclopedia book. Otherwise, it's rather bookless. Okay, this shelf basically contains only a few books, because these are books which didn't really fit in any category anywhere else, which include The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, Girl with a Pearl Earring by Tracy Cavalier, The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson, Eliza Rose by Lucy Worsley, and Carry On by Rainbow Well, as well as The Lie Tree by Frances Hardridge. Now on the other side I just have some CDs. This second shelf contains mainly contemporaries. Pretty much all contemporaries, unless somebody tells me in the comments that like some of these books are not contemporaries. Anyway, the first 4 books are all the Morgan Matson books, by publishing date I believe. Maybe wrong, but I believe they are in publishing date. So we have Amy Rogers' Epic Detour, Second Chance Summer, Since You've Been Gone, and The Unexpected Everything, all by Morgan Matson. Then we have Jojo Moyes and Me Before You, On the Fence, by, cannot remember this author's name, Casey West. The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. Perfect Chemistry by Simone Elkeles. Faceless by Alyssa Chiminel. Okay, I apologise. And the Anna and the French Kiss book and accompanying companion novels. So it includes Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After, all by Stephanie Perkins. Then I have the duology, which is now becoming a trilogy. To All the Boys I've Loved Before and P.S. I Still Love You by Janie Hahn. The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. To Marry a Prince by Sophie Page. The Sidekicks by Will Costakes. Okay, I cannot pronounce that, I apologise. Passion by Louise Bagshaw, and This Is Where the World Ends by Amy Zhang. So yeah, that is my contemporary shelf, unless somebody says that some of these books are not contemporaries. Okay, so these other shelves are just collections of books which basically don't fit anywhere. At the top of my shelf is mainly historical, but there are some other books there as well. Then I have 3 shelves basically dedicated to history books in some form, because obviously history is the degree I'm currently studying in university, so that is why they're there. And yeah, I'm not going to pull out all the books unless you want me to do like a separate tour for like all these history and like other topic books, and then the historical romance books and things like that. But I just thought I'd show them just to say.